Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Now, I know this show is going to be rebroadcast and put onto our YouTube channel, so I'd like there to be some interaction here today with me. First off, I'd like to say thank you to Center for Spiritual Living and to Swing Point Media for creating this broadcast today. And today, I'd like to talk about happiness and things that we can do to become happier. Now, I have my little laughing Buddha, I've got my little happy smiley face, and then of course, I can never forget my cup of coffee. Starting the day off on the right foot. So today, like I said, I'd like to talk about things that we can do to be happier in our lives. Now, it's easy to think that happiness is a result of some sort of action. However, I'd like for you to think from the context that happiness is also the driver that creates the life. We don't have to wait for something to happen to then be happy. It's when we are in that state of happiness that things in life unfold in a manner that are in alignment with our feelings. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking to do more with my life, whether that's to be more creative in my artwork or in my expression, whether it's to do more in my ministry. That is for me. What is your go button? And that's what I'd like to know and hear about. Your go button is the thing that your inner self is driving you to experience. So let's begin. Why is it, do you think, that people who are happier accomplish more? Well, I, for one, think that it's because there is an expansion of oneself. The idea that I am more than just this facade that I am, that I am the action. And by being and realizing that expansiveness of myself, be it from my spirit and being centered, this allows me to then propel myself forward to be of more service and to help to others, which in turn feeds me. Now, I would like today to be an interactive time. I know this is being recorded, and you can view it on YouTube. And always on YouTube, there's comments to be typed out. I would encourage you to type in comments based upon what you've watched, because I will be coming in and checking, and I would like to have interaction for those of you who weren't able to join me today. But for those of you who are here today with me right now, I'd like for you to make comments about what's happening today, and then maybe we can take some side streets and some exits and talk about those. But again, we're focusing on happiness and what it is that we can do to become happier in our lives. Regardless of where you are, as Dr. Joe talks about that string, from being extremely happy to being sorrow, there's somewhere along this line that you attach to. So regardless upon where you are attached, you can always move forward to greater expression of that. And hopefully today, no, not hopefully, I know today, and what we are talking about will help you and help myself to allow us to get hooked on at a higher realization of happiness and joy. The results, there was a study created, and the results of that study are surprising. They had 3 different groups, and although the three groups in this survey experienced similar improvements in their happiness levels early on. They found that those that improve themselves through meditation, they created a 38% retention of the happiness that this experiment created. Then there was a group that did exercise to create happiness or to see if it facilitated joy and happiness in their lives. And 31% were able to retain that happiness through exercise. Here's the real interesting fact, that the group that had meditation and exercise, 81% saw improvement in their happiness. Now, movement and exercise and meditation just aren't the only things that allow us to become and experience happiness. There's a caveat of things that can help us. And that's what I'd like to address today, are some things that can help us have a more fulfilling life, be more well-rounded, more grounded in ourselves, which in turn ultimately helps us express ourselves and to be of service and help others, which again, it's all a loop, brings back joy and happiness to ourselves. One of the things that studies about happiness has been relaxation. And relaxation, they've shown, improves your brain power and even improves your body imagery. One of the things that this relaxation does and helps you with is to become more active. Now that seems a little bit two-faced there, but by being centered and being relaxed, it allows that internal energy that is within inside you to want to be expressed. And when you do move and become active, a lot of people want to think that by being active and losing weight, that's their primary goal, is to be active to lose weight, then I'll be happy. But studies have also shown that people who are active and who have not really lost weight have seen an improvement in their own self-imagery. That is very interesting. And I think that is one that shows how exercise is definitely a factor in improving upon happiness. Now, I myself, I do a lot of moving. However, I don't do a lot of exercising per se, but I do take my dog out for walks, and I'm very active in what I do physically for my line of work. I'm very active in that sense. So I think that that kind of helps me out a little bit. However, I can tell you this, that when I look in the mirror, I definitely don't see myself as when I was a little bit younger. And I'm sure that by being more active and having a regimen of activity would definitely help me out and create an even better self-image of myself, and thus create an even deeper awareness and expression of happiness. It is proven, and if you talk to any of your friends that exercise, exercise does improve your attitude. I have a friend, he's a little bit older than I am, but he used to be a bodybuilder, not one of those maximum weight people, but he was very athletic and had a great body. And even to this day, he exercises regularly. In fact, I'd say that a lot of his friends are from the gym. Not only does he exercise, but he also does yoga. All of this is something that I see in him that creates happiness, because I can tell you every time I see this gentleman, there is something that he's got a smile on his face about all the time. Whether it's just taking his dogs for the walk, whether it's getting a cup of coffee, or whether it's helping another person at the gym, lifting weights, or being a spotter. The point is, he is extremely happy, and I think and I know that part of that is because he does and is so very active. Another factor that can help in one's improvement in state of mind is, you've always heard it, they've always doing studies on sleep. Sleeping more, or the right amount of sleep. They talk about REM sleep and how deep you go and the quality of your sleep. Yes, all of that is a factor, but the point is, a majority of people don't get the proper amount of sleep. And that has been scientifically proven to be a factor in the happiness that one has in one's life. Now, the brain is a very interesting organ. I remember way back, we had a study group, and a gentleman was a guest speaker, and he talked about how the brain evolved and the different layers of the brain. And he got several pieces of aluminum, and he said, okay, let's make a fist. And he goes, the fist represents the size of our brain back in primeval time. And as things evolved, he says, then grab another piece of aluminum and place it on top of your fist. That added a layer of our brain to the base of it. And as time came on, and he had us keep on adding layers and layers of aluminum to represent how our brain has evolved. Now, here's an interesting fact, and I'd like to read this. Negative stimuli gets processed in the amygdala, which is the base, the primeval portion of our brain. Positive or neutral memories get processed in the hippocampus, which is an outer layer of the brain. Sleep deprivation, it says, hits the hippocampus harder than the amygdala. The result is that they found that sleep deprivation, again, causes the happiness, our feelings, to be lessened. It fails to come up as far as memories and recall. And because those negatives are in the amygdala, it's more of a primeval sense. And if you think about it, really fear and worry are very primal in our state of being. It's only as we've evolved that we've become to have emotions that are greater than just fear and reactive. So it makes sense that when we have less sleep, that those newer portions of our brain are affected more. It also showed that people without sleep remember or have a greater memory of negative things in their life, meaning that as you reflect upon your life of positive and negative, 81% people who were sleep deprived or who didn't get enough sleep actually were able to recall more negative thoughts in their lives as opposed to positive. However, people who got the proper amount of sleep, we're 30% greater in remembering positive things in their life as opposed to negative. I think that's a wonderful thing to think about. It makes me want to go to bed a little bit earlier, maybe even better yet, sleep in later. But the fact is, we have to take care of ourselves. And study upon study have proven that when we do take care of ourselves, our attitudes are a reflection of that. So all kinds of studies shows how sleep helps us. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is friendships. And in this time, over the past almost year, it seems we've had a little bit of a detour on friendships. But I don't really think that's the case. I think the detour is how we have relationships or how those relationships are acted upon. Where before we used to get together at coffee shops and various locations and get together physically, now we have the opportunity and are definitely getting together online, through live stream, through all sorts of media, phone calls. I find myself making a lot more phone calls today than I did a while ago. So spending time with friends is a great way to improve one's happiness. So the idea that you are not able to get together with friends is definitely poppycock. That is just an excuse. And I encourage you to drop those excuses and pick up that phone and make that call to a friend who is close to your heart, but yet you haven't talked to in a while. And better yet, create online friends, create Zoom communities. Now, at the center, I know that we have a lot of people who are technically savvy. And if anyone here has a hard time getting online or wants to find out more information, please call us at our center, at our website, and get a hold of the office. And we could definitely help you in directing you to who could help you out, facilitate getting more connected with your friends via online formats. Engaging and having conversations is definitely a source of happiness. It allows you, it helps you and helps me feel more connected. One of the things that I do know is that we are all energy, regardless of what your faith background is. That does not matter. The fact is that we are all connected. We are all living and coming from that one source. And when we have that connection and when we do interact with one another, it does bring that joy and that happiness inside of us up to the surface so that it can be then expressed and then it multiplies. So I definitely encourage you to call up that friend and make that contact. High school buddies, it doesn't matter. The fact is that making connections and making new acquaintances is definitely a way to help you so that if you are feeling sad and disconnected, please make that first step, because I bet you diamonds to donuts there's somebody who is looking to have you as a friend. Also, a funny fact is, in talking about, a lot of people think that money brings happiness, or they're striving to do more and accumulate more wealth because that does bring happiness. And that's yes or no. Dr. Joe always has a saying that I really like, and I hope I don't butcher it too bad, but he says he wants enough money to do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, and pay cash for it. It doesn't talk about, or he doesn't talk about a dollar amount. He's talking about the experience, and that's exactly what we are talking about here today, is the experience of life and happiness. Now, there was a study shown of people who were money driven and equated their happiness with the dollar amount that they made. And the socio-economic study that they conducted showed that happiness has a price tag of about $100,000. And I think that's kind of funny. You're like, how can happiness have a price tag on it? Well, it doesn't really. But what they were doing is they were finding people who were at a set level, not really set, but they were at a particular level of happiness in their life, of how they expressed it, how they felt about their happiness level. And as they were going up the ladder and doing this study, then they started looking at their finances. And they found that people who were at X amount of level, or who were in this particular area of happiness in their life, found that as the money went up, it dipped down a little bit, but it came back up. But it came back up and got equal to about, someone who was making, you had to make $100,000 more from where you are now to get that happiness where you thought you needed to be. And that has a little bit of insight. And some of what I want to talk about today might help you. Now, fine, if you want to make that extra $100,000, $200,000, it doesn't matter. Spirit doesn't see any zeros behind that, whether it's $10 or $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $1 million, $1 billion. Spirit doesn't see the zero. It's only your attraction to it. So if you're looking to make more money just because it just makes you happy, just because, that's fine. But to just work because you think that is the end result of being happy, you've got a lot of work ahead of you. Truthfully, the only thing that really matters in life is that oneness that you have with yourself and the relationship that you have with others. Finding and being in a relationship with someone is the best way to find happiness. And I'm not talking about a monogamistic type relationship. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about happiness with the family. I'm talking about every type of relationship, not just something that's got a ring on it, but friendship. Finding and recultivating friendships that you've had is definitely a way to help you get more in flow with spirit and thus bring out more happiness in your life. Number 4, vitamin D has been found to help with the amount of happiness one feels about themselves. So you can take a pill and get your vitamin D, but better yet, it's absolutely free by going outside and being in the sun. I encourage you to get out, be active, start your day off with a nice little walk. A 20-minute walk is all that really takes to help you and get you more in line with spirits, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. It gets you to that state of happiness. I myself like to walk in the morning. I generally take my dog out, and he walks at a little bit slower pace than I do now. He's getting up there in age, and I appreciate that. So we don't quite walk at the pace that I want to, but every once in a while we do. But the point is that when I do my morning walk and I have that nice quiet time, I see life around me. I see the beauty of nature. I breathe in that fresh air. And yes, when the sun comes out and it's nice and warm on your skin, it is a wonderful feeling. Now, I love that feeling, but to know now that vitamin D is a contributing factor to happiness, it's definitely now an even better reason why to get out in the morning and do a great little walk. And I encourage you to do that. And again, when this is rebroadcast and you watch this, please make comments on our YouTube page that and tell us that doing morning walks and being out in the sun, how does that make you feel? Does it increase your happiness? And if so, tell us about it. We really want to encourage a time of being interactive. Again, we are always on every day at 10 o'clock. And we are now in a time where Zoom and being interactive online, or whether we're on our phone, there's always the opportunity to be in contact and to touch someone. So please do not think that you are alone, because you are not. Everyone is within arm's reach. I'd like to know, what do you like to do outside? I myself like to go for walks, but I also do other activities. I used to ref and still do a little bit. When my kids were growing up, I did refereeing for soccer, and so I was very active in the community like that. What are the things that you used to do that maybe you could still do today that would increase your happiness? Memories of being joyful, of that time that you were active. You can reclaim that. Better yet, not reclaim it, reframe it. Because I definitely know that I don't move exactly the way I did 30 years ago, but that doesn't mean that I need to move any less. I just find different ways of moving and different things that are attracted to me. So please, I encourage you to be more active. That is a great step in becoming happy. One of the things I found out that as I was preparing for this talk is that, did you know that happiness has a temperature? Who knew that? But these are fun facts. Again, look at this. I'm smiling. Happiness has a temperature. And they've concluded that happiness, the temperature for happiness is 57 degrees or 13.9 Celsius. Now, I can tell you, I live in the desert. And let me tell you, it gets hot. But during wintertime, like right now, it's January. And today, of all days, it's 57 degrees in the morning when I went out for a walk before the sun came up. I mean, talk about spirit unfolding perfectly. But that doesn't mean that when I'm here in summertime and it's 120 degrees, that I'm then less happy because of that. Life isn't linear. It is exponential. Just like, let's see here. The Fibonacci sequence, when they talk about the spiral, how it gets bigger, life, plants, everything, you will see the same sequence happening over and over again. Dr. Joe used to talk about how he threw a pebble in a pond and it makes those rings. Well, the rings get bigger and larger exponentially. And that is exactly the same thing that happens with us. The joy that you have, regardless of the amount that you think you have, can always be increased. And when you realize that you, regardless of where you are in your life, when you have the knowingness that you are spirit, that you are divine, and that all life is precious, and as you interact with other people, that ring of influence, just like the rings in a pond, expand exponentially. That says something about life. That shows and proves that you are significant, that you are worth something, that you have something to contribute. You're just waiting, not for something outside you. Life is waiting to be expressed through you, spirit. When you understand that divine gift that you and only you can give to the world, that is definitely a source of happiness. And being 57 degrees is definitely a great temperature to start at. But it doesn't have to be that for you. You are in command of your own life. I personally like 105. Just, it's a number that I really do like. And when it's 105 outside, I like the heat. And I like that little bit of sweat that happens when I'm active. But yet it's not oppressive, but it feels active to me, and it wants me to be more active. Now, I have family members who love winter and go snowboarding all the time, and every year they get a season pass to go up to the mountains. I could care less about the snow and snowboarding. Yes, it's nice to see it, and I love it on the mountains. Yes, I love to see it. But to be in it day in and day out, not for me. But there again, it shows you the beauty and the diversity of life. That here I am at 105 degrees, and I'm experiencing and joy. And there's somebody else who's in sub-zero weather and having the exact same feeling. So again, happiness is not linear. It is exponential based upon your awareness of your connection to spirit. And when you realize your connection with that spirit, those rings that come out and are formed are rings of being of service to others. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go join a nonprofit organization and to work there, something along like that. No, being of service has a multiple ways of being expressed. There's no one way, there's no one right way. There's only your way. And that again is a key, your way. Now, and I have found that as I've gotten older, that as I'm going to the grocery store, I'm just living my life, where I see people doing something that may need help. While before I was so caught up again, going after that dollar amount, thinking I'm going to be happy at X amount of dollars, I was like a horse with blinders on. I was just on my treadmill, going nowhere. But as I've matured and seen that a well-rounded life is a more fulfilling life and has more joy in it, it has opened up my eyes, taken my blinders off. And now, as I'm just doing my day-to-day life, I see opportunity everywhere to help people. Just the other day, I was coming home, and this lady was up on a ladder taking down the lights and ribbons that she had put up in her tree for the holiday season. I immediately flipped a U-turn to see if that lady needed help. She said she pretty much had it, but I know that she was just being polite and just wanted to do it herself. However, I knew that it would make her day, and so I did it just out of the kindness of my heart. And when I did that, I saw the happiness and joy that she had from having some stranger for no reason just come out of nowhere and just to help her. I know that that did bring happiness to her. But the great thing is the happiness that it created within myself. Not from a standpoint of being arrogant, but from a standpoint of just genuine kindness. That I made a difference in someone else's life. It didn't have to be this grandiose gesture. Something tiny can be something that is momentous in someone else's life. But we never know what that is going to be. So don't wait for that opportunity to be the big help. See people in life as one life, as your family, and help people. That will definitely help you in finding that joy. Whether you think that it's missing or whether you have some, it will definitely increase the happiness that you do have for yourself. Now, another thing that people talk about is, like Joe was saying, money. He doesn't say that money buys happiness. It's being able to do what he wants, how he wants to pay cash for it. Now, some people think that money itself is happiness. And no, money is not the root of all evil. It is the pursuit of money that brings unease for the sake of money itself. Now, have you ever had a friend that constantly goes out and buys things? I have a friend, or I know someone who's constantly going out and buying stuff because that new thing that they just bought is going to bring them happiness, or they're so excited about it. But I'm telling you, within 30 days, they're done with it. They either sold it or they don't touch it again, and they're on to something new. They're always looking for something outside themselves that they bought that they think is going to bring them happiness. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Happiness comes from ourselves. Again, I keep on saying that, but it is proven time and time again. And every one of these points that I'm talking about, the underlying factor that you can start to see is that it is an inside job, that happiness is an inside job. So part of what I'm doing today, again, is showing that inner wealth that you think that you lack in is really, truly locked inside of you. Just like that treasure trove, like a dragon's in that big cave, and there's gold, and it's just piles and piles of it. That gold, that happiness, that joy is inside of you. And that lock that is keeping you from that, you have the key in your hand. And when you realize that it's your own happiness and your own joy, that's the key that will help unlock that. And when you find the joy within yourself, all of these things that I'm talking about here today are things and actions that you can do, and shows you how that brings out happiness to the world, which then again, because we are in a closed loop, we are all together, we are all acting and being one, that when we give that joy and happiness out, it comes back to us folded over multiple times. So I just told you my story of how I like to help out people, and I've found out that it really is a great inspiration to myself of helping people. And I think that's one of the reasons why I became a reverend. Is one, I wanted to know more about spirituality because it was very interesting to me. But as I dove deeper into it, I found that as I realized that we are all connected, and that I found, and not that I found, but as I saw that what I was doing for others was creating joy in them, again, I saw that joy come back and being expressed from within myself. Not seeing it reflected outside of me, but coming from within. As I became happier, I started smiling a little bit more. And again, science has proven or shown that when you have a smile on your face, there is an energy within you and about you that does radiate out from you. So you've heard the term fake it till you make it. Well, I'm telling you this, that doesn't work. Do not fake it till you make it. Truly, find that happiness, whatever little happiness that you do have, and come from that standpoint. Allow that little bit of happiness in you. Allow it to put that smile on your face. Think of that vacation. If you're having a hard time, think of something out in the future, whether or not that you're able to afford it right now. That's not important. The idea is to have the mindset in a vision in your mind. We like to do vision boards, put things on a piece of paper and show things of what you want to experience. Those things that you want to experience are things of happiness. And as you see them and feel from them and live life from them, even though they're not in your life now, ultimately life unfolds and gets you closer and closer to that. So if you're having a hard time, think of a great vacation that, like for me, going to Ireland is, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, going to Ireland just seems like a great vacation to me. I have no plans. Nothing is set in stone. I haven't even lifted a piece of paper or looked at an airline ticket. I haven't done anything. But the idea of just going to Ireland and seeing it, when I close my eyes, it puts a smile on my face. So I don't have to necessarily start and do the actions. It's the thought first, then becomes reality. So if you don't have that thought of happiness, I encourage you, I implore you, please do yourself a favor. Close your eyes right now, take a deep breath in, and let it out. And just allow whatever it is that comes up into your mind right now that is happy for you. Just sit and think about that for a few seconds and just feel that smile come upon your face. When that smile happens, you automatically feel a shift in that energy. There is an uplifting within yourself. That is the beginning of joy and happiness through your life. So please plan a trip wherever that may be. It could be a trip to wherever. It doesn't matter how far. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be around the world. It could be the next town over. Just plan a trip, something that when you close your eyes, it brings a smile to your face, and it will definitely help you. Simply planning your vacation does improve your well-being. And when you improve your well-being, all aspects of your life are improved, whether it's work or whether it's just being retired and sitting out on your back patio sipping coffee. Oh, which reminds me, gotta put my happy face on. Oh, I have it coming here. Oh, we're just living the fake reality we're living. Are we just living in a fake reality? And by doing this process, does change things. Wait a minute, I'm not reading that right. Well, yes, if I understand your question correctly, it's not a fake reality. That's what I'm not talking about. The reality is reality. But understand this, that reality is a reflection of your own thoughts, your own life. If you think that life is torment and suffering, the universe says yes. And you are projecting in yourself what you see out in life, and that does get amplified. So by changing your thoughts about what you think life is, change it first within yourself. I'm not saying turn a blind eye to what's going on now, because what we see now in life, on the news, on TV, that is a reaction. I'm encouraging you to be the cause. Instead of reacting to a reaction which propels you and perpetuates that cycle, I'm saying stop. Get off the monkey wheel, that hamster wheel. Come from the truth of who and what you are, that you are a spirit in action. Regardless of your faith background, it doesn't matter. That when you come from your own self-awareness and happiness, you have the ability, and no, not the ability, it is a fact that you change the energy waves around you. And as you change the energy waves around yourself, you change others' perception of what they think that their reality is. And that's how life does unfold. Now, there is race consciousness of what we talk about. I just lost, man, I love it. Brain farts. Gotta love them. Again, look at that. Putting a smile on my face. Gotta love brain farts. God, just love them. I'll come back to it. But I have another question here. Why do you think that people are happier, accomplish more? That's a great question. And if you think about it, people are happier, accomplish more. Do they accomplish more? Or is it in the fact of just doing something that they feel is productive? And let's see if I can't clean that thought up. I got kind of away from me. The idea that people who are happier accomplish more is because they are in alignment with the natural unfoldment of the universe. Here you go. This is it. Again, the Fibonacci sequence, exponential. Life is exponential. As you do and come from that sense of connection with life, the action that you are creating is a source of joy within itself. It feeds that sense of accomplishment. Now, what one person thinks or needs to be as far as an accomplishment is something totally different from another. And that is the beauty of life. That is the reason why there are people all over this planet, because I like, and my perfect temperature is 105 degrees. Well, guess what? I'm living in a place that facilitates that happiness, that joy. While somebody thinks that being on the beach is their happiness. Well, guess what? There's a place for you too as well. But regardless, everyone's own expression of accomplishment is their source of joy. But as an accumulative, as a race consciousness, when we all are in alignment with spirit, with that higher power, regardless of what you call it, it expands more of itself and becomes a greater fulfillment. And that, I think, is a great way and a great reason why people who accomplish more are happier. Now, if you think that you are unhappy because, or you're unhappy because you're not doing something in your life, well, all I can say to that is just reflect upon yourself and see that inner knowingness of yourself and allow you to get inspiration from that. And as you become more self-aware, more true to yourself, you will find that that happiness and that joy does come out regardless of what it is that you are looking to accomplish. So being accomplished is definitely a great way of being happy. One of the things that I did in talking about going out there and fulfilling and being, projecting out happiness, is I didn't get my passport until I was maybe about 10 years ago. I mean, all this time I never had a passport. Well, guess what? Never went anywhere. But as soon as I got my passport, I had the opportunity to go and travel. The universe was waiting for me to do something to create the opening upon which it could then express by means of me. Where I had it backwards. I was waiting for something to happen to make me want to get my passport. So because I never got it, I never created that openness, that clay for the universe to create that upon which I wanted to create. It caused me not to be able to go anywhere. But as soon as I got that passport, with no real intentions upon going anywhere, but just to have it, I'm telling you what, that summer we went somewhere, flew all the way over on the other side of the planet, and we had a great time. So I'm telling you that your thoughts and your actions lay the foundation. So, but when you come from that source of happiness and joy within yourself, it opens up opportunities. Allow yourself to be open. Don't just allow yourself to be in just one space. Allow yourself to be open to the many avenues of life. Just like the freeways, the roads that we have. There's not just one way to get from point A to point B. There's an infinitesimal amount of ways to get from one point to the next. Just allow the universe to inspire you. Now, I've talked a lot about actions and that sort of stuff, but I'd also like to talk to you about meditating. Meditation is a definite good way of becoming happier. But meditation for one person is different. Meditation just isn't one way. Meditation has many different forms. Yes, there is the conventional, or when you think about meditating, you think about someone sitting in a room with their legs crossed, with incense burning and stuff like that. That doesn't have to be the only way. And in fact, it doesn't have to be. It's not the only way to meditate. Meditation can come in many different forms. My friend Bud, who I was talking to you about earlier, I'm sure that when he's doing his weightlifting, and even though that's a big strain for me, I'm sure that within himself, that is a great place where mentally he is meditating. For me, I like to drive the back roads up in the hills and just the twisty turns of the roads. And for me, riding is my form of meditation. But the point is, regardless of what you find that gets you into that zone of allowing the outside world to fall away, allowing you and your mind to get quiet and centered, allowing yourself that opportunity is a great way and a great source to have that happiness, again, to be the catalyst, the starting point, to expand and to grow within yourself. Let's see here. I've got some slides here I'm trying to keep up. I know I'm getting closer on time, but I do want to end with this. We talk a lot about activities and things to do, but a true way of finding happiness is by coming from gratitude. And I think that that is the cherry on top of life. I have definitely found for myself that when I come from that standpoint of gratitude, helping the little old lady with groceries, loading it into her car, or that person I was helping take the bows out of her tree at the end of Christmas, I was so happy that I had the wherewithal, the mindset to be of giving of myself, that gratitude, that I had the ability to do something, brought up that joy, that increased happiness, and that satisfaction. So I encourage you that please, regardless of what you do in life, today, we only have now. So today, start from gratitude. Life is always expanding, regardless upon where you're starting. Even during this time where we're Zooming all the time, or we've got to make phone calls and we can't meet. But when you come from a standpoint of gratitude of what you have right here and right now, that allows your heart to be open. That allows the joy to come up. It allows you to act upon that joy, to be the physical manifestation of that joy within yourself, and it comes back to you and starts to cycle all over again. So come back in gratitude. It's all about gratitude. Allowing that, again, to be the source. When you close your eyes and you take that deep breath and you're happy for the life that you have, whatever it is, even if you have the COVID or if you're in lockdown, there is something in your life that there is to be grateful for, whether it's your dog, whether it's your parrot, whether it's that leftover meal that you had from last night sitting in the fridge waiting for you to have lunch, whatever it is, that gratitude is there. Cultivate it, focus on that, and allow it to be the driving factor for you. Now, I want to thank you for your time today. And again, please share this with your friends. There's links down below. We have our website that you can find this. We have a YouTube page where everything that we do at Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert is archived at. Find this, forward it to people. Be the change you want to see in the world. That can start simply by saying hello to a stranger. It doesn't have to be this big grand gesture. It simply can be as a hello to a stranger. Now, with that, I'd like to thank Jeff at Swing Point Media and his team who helped facilitate us. I love the fact that they're here all the time and helping us facilitate. I'd like to again to thank the Center for Spiritual Living. If you have any needs, please contact us at 760-346-4649. There is always somebody there to answer the phone. Whether it's a question about today's broadcast or something that you've seen in the past, or whether you want to make a donation, all phone calls to our center are greatly appreciated. We are here to be of service to you and help you be the best person that you possibly can be. Allow us to help you find the joy in your life that is already locked within inside of you. Allow us to help you unlock your joy. Now, with that, I'd like to say thank you again to Swing Point Media, to Dr. Joe, to Reverend Charles, to Dr. Laura, to everyone in the office. I have great thanks for everyone, and I have great thanks for you as the viewer for watching me. So with that, have a beautiful and wonderful day. Thank you so very much. Again, I'm Reverend William Conway. Have a great day.